one other unique attribute of President Mills was his time consciousness. Just never joked with time. And there's a saying that the man's time is a man. Especially when you are president and you are running a nation like Ghana or any other nation, and you don't respect time, then you are doing the nation a lot of damage. Yeah. Because as we know in the everyday parlance, time is money. And the only thing that we don't have control over as human beings is time. So you use time judiciously, because our time even on earth is limited. Our time within the realms of earthly and human fleshly existence is time bound. We are not here forever. So within that space and time, you need to respect time and not abuse time. And that's precisely what President Mills did. Respected time. And so as his appointees, you couldn't afford. In fact, he gave instructions that once he showed up at a state function, it should start. They shouldn't wait for any minister who decides to be late. That he, the president, has arrived on time, and you, a sector minister or a regional minister or some appointee, you just decide that you'll be late. No. The program will start. And he did it on one or two occasions. And so now, appointees knew that, Even for cabinet meetings. So cabinet ministers knew. And there was a login book. You log in the time you showed up. And I can't remember many ministers walking out of cabinet. Oh yeah, you will sit till cabinet is over. Of course, per his own convention, which was introduced when he was vice president to President Rawlings, when he chaired cabinet meetings. He also allowed that convention to continue when he was president. So his vice president will guide the meetings. But President Mills was present at every meeting. Oh yes. He will pray and then set the tone and then allow the vice president. And he had a very popular posture. And this was it. He would just close his eyes and be in this very reflective mood. And if you made a mistake to think that he was sleeping, you are in trouble, because where he needed to engage, he will engage from depth of knowledge for you to understand that his eyes were closed, but he was not asleep. Especially when they had to do with cabinet memos that were walking in the wrong direction. Of course, and as an astute lawyer, a legal practitioner, a taxman, and everything, of course, also guarding the public purse in his mind and in his mens rea and everything. And because of cabinet oath that I took at the time, I'm unable to reveal things that happened at cabinet meeting because I swore an oath. And it was a privilege to serve in the cabinet of a government of the Republic of Ghana. The president will vet people who are supposed to be part of his entourage. So the president was on a 2-leg trip to Japan and China. And some business delegation, which is quite normal. They pay themselves to also join, because the president must introduce what do you call it, private sector players to industry on the other side. So that is normal, but they are not on the part of the president's entourage. And then this character, thinking that, oh yeah, he could just flout rules at the presidency, decided to show up in China. And that day, or on that trip, when I saw President Mills, of course, I had the unpleasant duty, but there was a duty to go to the guy's hotel and tell him, because the president has sent me, to get on the earliest plane back out of China back to Accra. Yeah? And that if he didn't leave, the president was going to call the chief of staff and order the guy's dismissal immediately from the presidency, and that he would not take any form of indiscipline. Scroll forward when President Mills passed, and I heard that that character was walking around because he was begging for posts from the new administration and the new president, that I was the one who orchestrated his dismissal from China. I just laughed. Yeah, people were around President Mills, but they didn't seem to know him. That in spite of his humility, in spite of his kind-heartedness, in spite of the father figure he was, in spite of his heart of giving, you couldn't take him for granted. Never. And any attempt by anybody to take him for granted woke up the steely character of President Mills. Oh, yes. And he was a man of steel within. Yeah, and so that character had to leave China. Because you had no role in China. And you came there to do what? And that was the kind of discipline. So when it was bandied, and it's bandied around that I, KOKU Anyido, had the capacity to block Vice President Mahama from seeing the president, I just laugh. And of course, President Mills also heard the rumors, moving around the grapevine. And KOKU, remain focused, don't mind them. You, KOKU, do you have the capacity to stop John from coming to my office? So ignore them. And for those of us who worked at the presidency, we knew that the vice president had a dedicated corridor. And I say dedicated corridor. I don't even remember walking on that corridor for the period I was at the presidency. And if the vice president wanted to see the president, all he had to do was walk on that dedicated corridor, unannounced. And he will walk into his boss's office. So when you sit and you manufacture such hogwash and outright bullocks just because President Mills is dead, and let's create disaffection for KOKU Anyido so that when we are hitting him hard with rocks and logs and sticks, nobody will cry for him. But there is a God. Vindication will always walk the way of the righteous and the focused. So now people know the story. When I hear them, then I know that truly they never knew the man President Mills. The kind of disciplinarian that he was, there's no way he was going to allow me to disrespect his vice president. Never allowed me to disrespect his vice president. It wasn't going to happen.